Man, I'm really enjoying this book and these questions. Just going through the thought process on it, the mental exercise of it all. So when it's time, this book I feel like is going to really tell me if I'm ready to be married anytime soon and if I even want to get married anytime soon. I used to have a godfather, uh, Godfather Tom. He was a mentor to my dad early on in his younger years, and he never got married. Never got married, as far as I know. I don't even know. I wish I could talk. I think he's passed away, but I wish I could really have a deep conversation with him about how he managed to never get married his entire life, and did he ever come close? All right, so yeah. All right, so this next question is because we've been talking about gender roles. That's been the question. Did your parents in the last two recordings, part one and two, the main question was, did your parents hold traditional gender roles or male and female roles? And now the question is, do you aspire to hold traditional male or female roles in your household when you get married, or gender roles? And so, man, a couple things. I'm gonna quote my brother. One of my favorite quotes my brother always says is, "He or she who makes the money makes the rules." It shouldn't be that way. And even though couples be like, "Yeah," I say the woman makes more money than the guy, the lady the whole time is gonna say, "Oh, I'm cool with that," blah blah blah. And there was some girl recently who went viral because she made a video saying that she's dating a broke guy, and now they're broken up. That's a whole nother discussion. But ultimately, from what I've seen, the person that makes the most money is the one who dictates what goes on in that household. Because it's just unfortunately, in a lot of marriages, it turns into like a power trip, man, a power tug of war. And marriage is really two people. I love the analogy I heard once where you take like a pack of crackers. It's like, pack of crackers, and the plastic comes with the saltines or whatever when you're out and about at whatever those little restaurants, and you get some soup and they give you the pack of crackers. And this guy took the crackers, the two crackers, and smashed them and told this newlywed couple, "That's you all." And like that's what marriage is like. God is breaking you and then putting y'all back together. All that individuality. Yeah, if you grew up in a home where you were raised by a single parent mom and you were raised to be independent and I don't need no man on for this or that and that, or the guy's like, I don't really need her for this and that, whatever, yada, yada, yada. Whatever your hangups are, your rigidity is going to be broken in a marriage. Anyway, so when it comes to, where am I going with this? Yes. Let me just answer the question first. Do I aspire to maintain traditional gender roles? I think, and this is where it would be good to bring in some biblical perspective and find some scriptures on this. I'm not going to do that right now, but there's a reason why God designed men the way men are and women the way they are, and why they're these just natural roles that we fall into. Man, this is a very deep discussion as I'm processing through this. So I think it is healthy to I know there's some women they'll say yeah, taking out the trash, cutting the grass, working on the car, or maintaining the maintenance on cars, stuff like fixing stuff around the house. That would be a traditional male role to do. But things have changed so much. I have a cousin. God bless the guy that's gonna marry her someday, because my uncle, who's a doctor, taught her how to change the brakes on a car. Well, she knows how to do way more manly stuff than me. She can change the brakes, do oil changes. She has her own house. She fixes stuff on the house. She showed me some plumbing issue she had recently, and she just fixed it. Anyway, And a lot of guys, there was a generation of men who knew how to build a house from the ground up. And that was kind of lost. That's like a lost art. My dad didn't know how to do a lot of that stuff. So we have a lot of boys that were raised by single parent, by moms. So the roles are all just jacked up. That's what I'm trying to say. And so, do I aspire to maintain traditional gender roles? Not really. The main thing is like I want to be able to be like, all right, what are you good at? Are you good at like? Well, first of all, let me back it up. One other thing I was gonna say, I'll never forget. My brother and I we joke about this because once my dad told us that early on in his marriage, him and my mom were having issues, and my dad was complaining to his dad about it, and man, how does and my grandpa said, "Hey, I can't help you, son, because basically, in a nice way, this I have my, of saying it in the least misogynist way I could say this is my grandpa, but that's how that generation was. He was like, I got my woman in check. Like, sorry, that's basically why he said it, and he couldn't really help because my mom comes from a household where her mother, my grandmother, um, my maternal grandmother, um, she was a teacher. Like didn't get married to her like mid 20s, I believe. Very independent. Had a degree, college degree, all that. Harris-Stowe State Teachers College in St. Louis. And then my grandpa, and I believe it's not. I believe she made more money than my grandpa. She definitely was. Her career was a lot more stable income than my grandpa. Because my grandpa was just an entrepreneur. He was a barber, and he owned properties and all that. And so it was like a joke or a thing known that grandma, even though grandpa made money, grandma was the one that paid the bills, like mortgage and all that, and kept the house going. Even though my grandpa eventually owned like 5 rental properties, owned a barbershop, he's a photographer. Anyway, so that was an interesting dynamic. Anyway, that's what my mom, that's what the training she got. And then, but my dad saw this yeah, my maternal grandparents were like less traditional. In some ways, they were still kind of traditional, but less traditional or less rigid in their roles. And my paternal grandparents was a lot very rigid, old school. Grandpa was like the king of his castle. He was a pastor, worked on a shipyard. My paternal grandmother, she just would clean houses, right? And so that's what they were raised in. So when it came time to like my parents to be, play house, they're going based off of what they saw. And so yeah, my mom, oof, it's very interesting. All right, what I guess the big question is, do I aspire to hold traditional male or female roles in my household? No, it's all jacked up. But like, yes, that's where I was gonna say. Finances, that's a big thing that people fight over. I know some people say that you should join your accounts together. I'll put my next wife's like name on stuff, but as far as like operating accounts, I'm like, hey, you have your account, I'll have my account. I'll be transparent. I'll show you everything that comes in and out of it. Let's these are the bills that I'm willing to like shoulder the load on, or take full responsibility on. Just like have a conversation about like like splitting bills and stuff like that, based on our incomes, what each of us makes. Um, but yeah, to have less fights, I think it's good to have separate accounts. But like, just be transparent about it. That way, if somebody screws up something, there's not a big fight about that. That's one of the biggest things. What's another thing that I would do as far as like traditional roles? Like, because some people are like, oh, the woman has to take over all the finances. Like, nah. There's probably more I could say about that. But yeah, gender roles are all jacked up anyway. That's the main point of this answer.